Before I start, I just wanted to get a sense of who we have here in the room today. So can I get by way of a show of hands, who here has got less than 3 years work experience? No? No one. Who here's got somewhere between 3 and 10 years work experience? Yeah, about half the room, yeah. And more than 10 years work experience? Okay, yeah, that's considerably more than half. Right, okay, well, you guys know that this course is called Building Legends, not Presenting to Legends. So I must say that Karsten and I are humbled by the fact that you've taken some time out of your day to come and hear us talk about programs. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to take your questions at the end. So if anything springs to mind as we work through our at least as I work through my presentation, if you could jot it down and save it for the end. So as Pam said, my name is Geoff Nash and I'm the CEO at Brosnan. And at Brosnan we specialise in the remediation, upgrade, refurbishment and maintenance of existing multi-unit residential and non-residential buildings. At present we employ 380 people and have around about $450 million worth of work under contract, spread across 23 active projects from Te Anau in the south to Whangarei in the north and a few places in between, including Queenstown, Christchurch, Picton, Wellington, Taupo, Cambridge, Tauranga and Auckland. We also manage a number of buildings across New Zealand, including buildings in Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch and in Queenstown. And in my role in Brosnan, I'm fortunate enough to have overseen the delivery of almost $1 billion worth of construction projects. And I've been asked to talk to you today about why programs have been a priority for us at Brosnan, the journey that we have been on, how we have implemented program governance to drive continuous improvement, and the benefits that this has had on our operations. So why have programs been a priority for us at Brosnan? Now, delays and cost overruns in construction projects are not uncommon. There are about 76,300 journal articles written about the prevalence of delays in construction projects from all over the world. And they cite things such as scope increases, delayed material delivery, poor weather, communication issues, inadequate planning, design changes, labour shortages as just some of the reasons for delays in construction projects. Some of New Zealand's most prominent projects are of no exception. So Transmission Gully was 1 year and 11 months late. City Rail Link is now forecast to be 2 or more years late. And the Christchurch Convention Centre was over 1 year late. Even closer to home, the new build projects that we do at Brosnan have, on average, run over the contract duration by 7%. But as I said, we don't focus on new construction at Brosnan. Our main focus is on fixing defective buildings, giving old buildings new life, and planning and delivering maintenance work. So who here has done a major renovation project on their own home? Show of hands. Yeah, about half the room. And whose renovation project came in late and over budget? A few of you, yep. So I mean, as you can see by the show of hands, at least on the screen, the problem with remediating, upgrading and refurbishing existing buildings is that projects of this nature don't tend to come in under budget or on program. Now the renovation project that I did on my own home was no exception. And when my wife and I went to look at this place, we were there for about 5 minutes before the listing agent asked us what we thought. And we said, it's disgusting. And it truly was. And she said, okay, well, it's a no from you guys then. And we said, no, it's perfect. We'll buy it. And so we did. And just to prove how disgusting it was, it took me 6 hours to vacuum all the cat hair out of the carpet when we moved in. But I had a vision for what it could be, and I wanted to get rid of the sunroom, prop the house up, put a garage underneath, build a new deck with better indoor-outdoor flow, and renovate the rest of the building. And like most of our customers at Brosnan, I wanted to live on site during construction. So after going to the trouble and expense of propping up the house, we pretty much rebuilt the whole first floor and the roof. We were robbed twice and suffered 3 1-in-100-year storms during the project. So we got there in the end, but needless to say, my renovation project didn't come in under budget or on time either. So At Brosnan, where we have been engaged on a build-only basis, our remediation, upgrade and refurbishment projects have, on average, run over the contract price by 48% and the contract duration by a whopping 56%. Now, 88% of this 56% increase in time is associated with waiting on design, and only 12% is associated with an increase in scope, which means that on average we're completing 48% more work in only 12% more time. So if there was ever a company motivated to prioritise programs, I would like to think it would be one that does what we do and is exposed to the sorts of delays that we're exposed to. Hell, it may as well even be us. Now, from the customer's perspective, time overruns increase both the direct and indirect cost of completing their project. They also don't want to be out of their property for any longer than they have to be, or if they're able to and choose to remain, they don't want to have builders, as nice as I'm sure you all are, hanging around on their property for any longer than necessary. So the first and most important reason why programs have been a priority for us at Brosnan is that time overruns, increase cost and extend the disruption for the customer. Now, our vision at Brosnan is to restore confidence in construction, and reducing the likelihood of cost and time overruns is an important part of achieving that vision. The second reason we have prioritised programs at Brosnan is the significant risk of not being paid our time-related costs. Now, as I said, 88% of the delays that we experience are due to waiting on design information, and under a 3910 contract, the risk of the contractor being delayed due to waiting on design information is that of the principals. But in order for us to get the relief, these delays need to be identified, notified, claimed and paid. And the risk of not being paid is not insignificant. If you take an average day rate of say $5,000 a day, an average project duration of say 12 months, and increase 23 projects by 56% in duration, you're talking something in the order of $14 or $15 million in time-related costs. And look, we don't make money out of EOT claims. More often than not, our costs actually exceed the day rate, so we're better off not having them. But the effect of not collecting these time-related costs when delays do occur would be catastrophic for our business, hence the significant risk. And one of the pivotal points for us in this journey was getting cleaned up by a project management consultant who just had to ask a few questions in order to pick apart our program and deny our extension of time claim. The last reason why programs have been an opportunity for us at Brosnan is the opportunity to complete projects faster, thus becoming more profitable. The opportunity is that if we can get the design information quicker and therefore the projects completed faster, we will earn our gross margins quicker, surpassing fixed overheads and making the business more profitable. So, in summary, programs have been a priority for us for 3 reasons. Time overruns increase costs and extend the disruption for the customer, the significant risk of not being paid our time-related costs, and the opportunity to complete projects faster, thus becoming more profitable. So this brings me to the journey that we have been on. Now, as the heading says here, it has been a journey for us, dating back a number of years. In the early days, it was common for our customers to be surprised by the time and cost overruns and dismayed by the ongoing disruption. It was also common for our extension of time claims to be declined. And of course, we were missing the opportunity to complete our projects faster and therefore earn our gross margins quicker. It was and still is common for the consultants representing our prospective customers to add special conditions to the proposed forms of contract, labouring the point around advance notices, timelessly submitting extension of time claims and the final account, often by way of time bars and conditions precedent, no doubt to reduce the likelihood of our mutual customers being surprised. In the early days, it was common to hear things like, we need to get better extension of time claims, or we need to get training on how to do extension of time claims, or even we need training on how to write extension of time claims. And it was also common for those involved in remediation, refurbishment and upgrade projects to just accept that time overruns of circa 50% were unavoidable. But this doesn't have to be the case. It's my view that NZS 3910-2013 at least was and still is a pretty good contract, and that the problems come about when people don't administer the contract. adding more special conditions isn't going to improve contract administration. Likewise, identifying, notifying, claiming and being paid for time-related costs isn't just down to writing better extension time claims. And finally, we needn't just accept that delays of this magnitude are unavoidable. So, contract administration and developing a better way to deliver remediation, upgrade and refurbishment projects have been our main areas of focus. So in terms of focusing on contract administration, we started with scheduling out all of the things that we were required to do under our contracts. And here is just an example of one of those things on the screen. So as you can see, the source document is 3910, the section is program, the clause is 510.1, and the action we need to take is prepare a program for the contract works and submit it to the engineer. And the frequency is at project startup. But there are many others, such as tracking and reporting actual progress against the planned dates in accordance with 5.10.2, forecasting the likely dates for completion, also in accordance with 5.10.2, submitting advance notices in accordance with 5.21.1, and making claims in accordance with 10.3.2, are just some of the upstream requirements from a program perspective, along with all the other downstream requirements associated with program under the subcontract agreement and all of the other requirements for other disciplines from 3910 and the subcontract. In parallel to this, we developed a roles and responsibilities matrix, setting out who in the project team is responsible for doing each of these things, who is there to assist, who needs to be consulted, and who needs to be informed. Then we categorised each of the deliverables into sections that aligned with the Project Management Institute's PMBOK framework and assigned a subject matter expert to each of these sections. Those subject matter experts worked out how to comply with each of these requirements and documented the process of doing so in a series of how-to guides. So here are just 7 cover pages of the 14 how-to guides that make up our program module, which is a part of 136 how-to guides that span across all disciplines. Our subject matter experts also developed templates for the business to use, such as the EOT claim template here on the screen. And then we mapped all this back to the roles and responsibilities matrix, making it easy for employees to figure out where to go to find out how to do what they need to do. This also enabled us to use the how-to guides and subject matter experts to create onboarding programs to bring new staff up to speed and developmental pathways for existing staff as they move into roles that require this knowledge. So we can now support employees as they progress through their career. So this brings me to developing a better way to deliver remediation, upgrade and refurbishment projects. So as I've already said, 88% of the time overruns on our projects are associated with waiting for design. So this is why we now advocate for early contractor involvement or contractor-led design on our projects. On the projects, On the projects where we have been engaged on an early contractor involvement basis or with contractor-led design, and this has been done well, we have seen significant reduction in time and cost overruns. And I've got 2 examples here now to show you. So the first up is Parkwood Apartments, where we were engaged on an early contractor involvement basis and worked out 9 different ways of delivering this project, each with its own duration, vacancy period and risk profile and the like. On this project, we carried out extensive investigations and even mocked up all of the critical junctions in full scale in the basement, identifying through doing this a number of design issues leading to the redesign and reconsent before we started the project in earnest. This reduced the likelihood of costly delays. The next example is Shore Junction, which was a design and build refurbishment project that we delivered 47k under the contract value and 2 days early. This brings me to how we've implemented program governance. So we developed internal audits and carry these out on every project every month to check that employees are complying with their training, our how-to guides, and ultimately the contract. So here's just an example of 7 lines from our program audit, which consists of 100 lines in total. And as you can see here, a number of those items we're checking our programs to see if they pass a number of tests in line with the DCMA guidelines. The results of these audits then get presented alongside all the other audits from the other disciplines on a given project and all of the other audits on all the other projects to give us a dashboard like this. We designed a dual internal reporting framework, enabling this information to be reported up through the business and ultimately to the board via both the project teams and the subject matter experts, so that independence between the project teams who are focused on delivery and the subject matter experts who are focused on best practice is retained. And this visibility and transparency is essential if we want to improve. And we're always looking for opportunities to improve via the reports. And just one example is if we or a subcontractor or a client has delayed one of our projects by a day, we want to know about it, we want to understand why it's happened and what could be done differently in the future to reduce the likelihood of that delay. We also designed an external reporting framework, enabling this information pertaining to program and all the other disciplines to be reported to the client via project control group reports so that there can be no surprises. And here's just an example of one of our project control group reports on the screen. We also take feedback from the project teams on how the system is working at quarterly focus group sessions and use these sessions to disseminate information pertaining to the lessons that we have learned, propose changes to our processes and systems, and take feedback from the teams on those proposed changes. This brings me to the benefits this has had on our operations. So the feedback that we've been getting, I would say, has been great. Here is just a few of the nice things our customers and the consultants that represent them have had to say about our programs, advance notices, forecasting and the like. I'll give you a moment to scan your eyes across the screen there because it is a controversial topic, putting in advance notices and claims. But we have had one engineer of the contract even go as far as to say that it is a pleasure reviewing our extension time claims. To this end, our extension time claim approval rate has increased from a low of 74%, which was actually from when we started measuring it, and by then we'd already seen improvements, to a high of 94%. Or in other words, we're getting paid for 94% of the value of our EOT claims. And as I said, the projects where we have implemented a contractor-led design or been engaged on an ECI basis, we have seen significant reductions in time and cost overruns. So I hope that has given you some insight as to why programs have been a priority for us at Brosnan, the journey we have been on, how we have implemented program governance to drive continuous improvement, and the benefits that this has had on our operations. Now, I'm not here presenting to you as the subject matter expert. Karsten is the brains behind the program work that we have done at Brosnan, and I must acknowledge that we're still on a journey. There's still lots to learn and implement, and it's not always done correctly, as you would have seen from one of the slides that we had on the screen. But for us, the journey has been a worthwhile investment.